Penguin Random House Audio presents A Tip for the Hangman by Allison Epstein. Read for you by James Meunier. Part 1. Queen of Fire. October 1585 to February 1587. Guise. What glory is there in a common good that hangs for every peasant to achieve? That like I best, that flies beyond my reach. Set me to scale the high pyramides, and thereon set the diadem of France. I'll either rend it with my nails to naught, or mount the top with my aspiring wings, although my downfall be the deepest hell. The Massacre at Paris, Scene 2, lines 40 to 47. 1. Without tobacco, Kit knew he would never survive Cambridge. The university would have destroyed him otherwise. The relentless pace, the always rising stakes. One arcane lecture after another, endless pages of Greek readings that became no less bewildering with time. And, beneath it all, the pervasive fear of falling behind, of falling to pieces, of publicly confirming what the fellows all privately believed. That, whatever scholarship the master of the college had conferred upon him, Kit Marlowe didn't belong here, should never have come. But, once a wisp of smoke curled up in his lungs, none of that mattered, at least for the night. Tobacco unwound his nerves like a worn shirt, turned soft and loose, trailing easy threads to nowhere. It changed nothing, of course. Kit's presence at Corpus Christi College remained as provisional as ever, the fellow's condescension as irritating. But as the smoke drifted between his lips and up to the ceiling, a shimmer in the setting sun that seemed peripheral, manageable even. He settled against the bedpost with a sigh. Through the haze, his room felt more like Elysium than the half-furnished dormitory of a master's student. Particularly given the company. Tom slouched on the other end of Kit's bed, his back against the wall beside the window. Leaning sideways, he grasped for the dark glass bottle resting against Kit's thigh. The movement brought him into the beam of sunlight and made his almost silver hair shine gold. His outstretched fingers missed his target by half an inch. "Come on," Tom said, voice strained with the stretch. "Don't make me beg." When Kit passed the bottle over, the ends of Tom's fingers brushed Kit's palm, causing a momentary thrill that Kit tried hard not to think about. Tom took a healthy swallow, then grimaced and looked at Kit as if he'd been tricked into drinking piss. "God's blood, this is terrible." Kit laughed. Tom was more right than he knew. "You want better, you buy it," he said, letting his next drag linger. He expected Tom to resume his former slouch against the wall, now he'd realized the bottle wasn't worth sharing, but Tom, intentionally or not, had instead moved closer. He sat with one leg bent to his chest, his biceps on his knee, watching the bottle with suspicion. With his back against the window now, the light cast his face in shadow, but illuminated his edges, making him look like a fresco or a gilded saint. There remained less than a foot between them. If Kit hadn't known better, he'd swear Tom was doing this on purpose, just to toy with him. He couldn't think straight like this. "Do you know what this tastes like?" Tom said, addressing the bottle. Kit did. He grinned. Salvation?" Tom blinked. "Communion wine," he said. "Honestly." "God's blood, indeed," Kit said. He ducked the half-hearted blow Tom aimed at his head. "If Rector Harvey doesn't notice, what's the harm?" "You wouldn't," Tom said. "You're lying." "I never." Kit pressed one hand to his chest in melodramatic offence. Tom raised his eyebrows. "All right," Kit said, ceding the point, "but I wouldn't lie with you." The words had barely left his mouth before Kit wanted to die for having said them. What right did he have to consider himself a poet when he couldn't even form a sentence to his best friend without courting disaster? His ungodly, handsome best friend, the one sitting 6 inches from him, backlit in gold. As Tom tilted his head, the shadows on his face shifted, leaving one plain in shadow and one bathed in yellow. "Wouldn't you?" he asked. "Never took you for a man with scruples. I'd lie with you, if I had to." Kit flushed. He didn't know if this was from embarrassment or something else, and he refused to interrogate the question. Tom's expression was unreadable, as if he had never heard of such a thing as double entendre. God and Christ, to be tortured by a preposition. Kit began, praying he'd find the end of the sentence once he started it. The door opened without a knock. Kit swore through a cloud of tobacco smoke and leapt off the bed, widening the distance between them from 6 inches to 5 feet. Tom lunged across the mattress and seized the bottle of wine. He'd stashed it between his back and the wall by the time the door opened fully, admitting a copper-haired young man who seemed taken aback by the violence of Kit's glare. Kit would have given anything not to have this particular student in his room at this moment, but he took a measured sort of hope in noting that Tom looked as annoyed by the interruption as he felt. "For God's sake, Nick," Kit said. "Man invented doors for a reason." "Good to see you too, Kit," Nick said. He pushed past Kit and pulled out the room's sole chair, straddling it backward. "Tom, I didn't mean to interrupt." And yet... Tom abandoned the attempt to hide the bottle and took an exasperated drink. Kit directed his eyes heavenward. Granted, the evening had been a disaster long before Nick's skiers showed up, but at least that disaster had potential. Leaving the door open, lest Nick forget the way back out, Kit perched on the desk and folded his legs beneath him. "I thought you were going to town," Tom said. "I will," Nick agreed. "First, Kit is lending me his essay on the life of Pyrrhus." "I am?" If Kit had ever made such a promise, he had no memory of it, but Nick's presumption wasn't surprising. The scholarship that had allowed Kit to attend Cambridge these past 5 years amounted to a sort of eternal probation. Fall behind, and the college would rescind his funds, which would find him out on the street in a week. Nick, knowing this, read Kit's diligence as a standing invitation to swipe passages from any given essay. "Yes," Nick said. He leaned his forearms on the back of the chair and rested his chin on them with an expectant air. "Now, come on. I have places to be." "Who is it this time?" Tom asked, without interest. "Susanna? Joan?" "Eleanor," Nick winked, which only strengthened Kit's urge to punch him. "So I'm in a hurry. Let me look at yours, and I'll be gone in a minute." Tom and Kit exchanged a glance. "If you really would lie with me," Kit's side of the glance said, "start now, because I intend to lie like you've never seen." Tom smiled, a half-expression Nick didn't notice, and nodded. "I haven't started," Kit said to Nick with a shrug. Nick stared. "This is the essay due in 12 hours, yes?" "Kit and I are a little behind," Tom said, picking up the lie. Kit nodded, with a stab at a self-deprecating smile. Self-deprecation was well out of his range, usually, but at a stretch he could fake it. "We were settling in for a night of Greek and—" "Wine and tobacco?" Nick frowned, looking from the bottle in Tom's hand to the pipe in Kit's. Kit's liar code was predicated on a single rule: conviction. People believe a confident liar before they believe a nervous, honest man. "Yes," he said, without missing.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?